Discipline is way overrated when it comes to achieving fat loss goals and strength goals. And you will hear the opposite when you look on social media towards the end of January. You will see a lot of coaches and influencers telling you that discipline is where it's at and motivation is overrated, but it's because they misunderstand what those are and what they mean, and also don't really think about and know what to do instead. So let me give you a bit of context here. It might be the year where you think, this year I'm finally going to look like I lift. This year I want my efforts to show the standards that I have for myself in my life, and tracking my macros, going to the gym 4 times per week, and really putting that effort in. I'm tired of not getting the results that I want, which is absolutely fair and a very legitimate goal. And so even though you might not be riding the wave of New Year's resolutions, it's still like an overall dynamic in our environment that lead us to think about the goals that we have and what we want to achieve when the New Year's begin. But pretty often towards the end of January and then in February, then that extra boost in motivation and the dynamic in our society starts to fade out, and we cannot ride that wave much longer. And this is where people will say that discipline is what you need instead. But discipline is actually doing things even though you don't feel like doing them, or just like pushing through even though the motivation to do them is not there. But what's interesting is in sports science, when they try to measure recovery, then one very reliable indicator is subjective feeling. And when they ask athletes, how are they feeling? Are they feeling motivated to train, or are they very fatigued? Do they feel fresh, or do they feel like they need a break? Then this correlates very strongly with biomarkers that show that they do indeed need more recovery, or that they are fresh and ready to train. And in fact, there's an ice skater. Look at that. Maybe he was, skating over here. But an ice skater who holds world records on 10,000 meter on the ice. And he wrote a book on his training methodology. And one thing that he said was that he would not train if he was not feeling like it, because he was trying to do a lot of training volume. And for him to not be motivated and not feel fresh was a very, very big sign that he was in a state of overreaching. So he would take 2 full days off, not do anything, and then restart and go with the next training block. And so a lot of coaches will say like, hey, for people who are not elite athlete, it doesn't matter because the training volume is not that high. But most athletes don't have the same responsibility and life demand that most Gen Pop clients have. And so, putting that together, if you only rely on discipline, then, and you push through, even though you don't really feel like it, then most likely what you are going to do is put yourself in a state of overreaching. You are going to exceed your capacity to recover from your training or to keep making progress with your fat loss goals. And then it doesn't matter like how well the protocol is with the macros, if you are doing some advanced stuff with refeeds and carb cycling, high days, low days, diet breaks and that sort of things. Or if you are using like some fancy periodization for your training, if you just push yourself too hard always, and that is the only answer that you have to stick to the plan, then you are actually setting yourself up for failure when you are relying on discipline. What you want to do instead is to remove the friction and to lower the resistance that you have to do the things. You want to create more space to be able to do the very things that will lead to your goals, so that you actually don't have to rely on discipline. And this, if you can apply that for yourself this year, is going to make a huge difference in the results that you are going to have until the end of the year, and not only until the end of February.